Interesting to listen to the previous individuals talk, especially the challengers. They like to paint a picture that's not really completely true. So when they say double the taxes, one tax back in 2010-11, it went from 2% to 4%. So interesting to ask yourself, why would they choose the word double and not just 2%? Also interesting to note that they say that we're the ones who are problematic, and maybe it's not three on the council who aren't the problem. So interesting way that they put spins on this. And also interesting to note that every single opposition candidate has called people who we need to partner with a special interest. What do you think is going to happen when they end up taking a seat, or if they end up taking a seat? How are they supposed to repair that damage already created? You'll find out the truth as we go along in this forum.
Hello, Oro Valley. It's good to see you this afternoon. I'm Pat Straney, and I want to be your next mayor. I retired from GM as a senior executive with manufacturing responsibilities at both domestic and foreign. And since then, I have been volunteering my time and talent back to the community, most notably 8 years as Rancho Viscoso Master Plan Community President. Why am I running? Because the current mayor was recalled. There were issues involving trust, transparency, and a lack of complete representation on a community-wide basis. I bring an objective management style and leadership style that values public input and alternate opinions. They are actually keystone of getting to the proper solutions in any serious situation. When I'm your mayor, I will listen to you. I will propose that your voice be heard on all items on the agenda at the council meeting. Please vote for me for your mayor.
For me, I'm for significant investment in Oro Valley for 426, which is $15 million. That's going to help jumpstart the Innovation Park. We have a huge look at the town of Oro Valley with Santa Fe and Ventana and now the University of Arizona. And ASU actually stepped up to the plate. It will help accelerate that process. And there's also some monies in there, a total of another, I think, $12 million for Steampunk Branch rehab, Narana Park rehab, Riverfront Park rehab. So there's a lot in it for the town of Oro Valley. And so as a resident, I would support that.
From my standpoint, I don't believe the bond issue is particularly appropriate when we're talking about a recall election. But I'll give you my view from a standpoint of a taxpayer. Read the bond issues very, very carefully. Make sure that the proposals that you are voting for, the small fine print, you also understand, and look at the benefit versus the cost for you personally. The average Oro Valley real estate properties here are higher by quite a bit than the rest of Pima County. You're going to pay back more on average than the rest of the people in Pima County for that reason. So it's another reason for you to take a good close look at it. There is some interest on my part about the incubator, but I will leave that to your judgment. Just in the same way, I'll advise myself with what I just said to you on whether you support those issues or not. Thank you. Well, the police department, when I walked around the community and talked to people, safety is number one. I will never allow anything to change that. If there is a study deemed necessary, it should be focused on the security aspect, the security of the officer, the security of all of us as residents. But there's something going on right now that takes that off the chart. We've got to make decisions about what's going on in Oro Valley financially, or else we won't have to worry about a study. We'll have to worry about where we get the money to keep the basic police in place.
I'm actually against the police department efficiency study. Not that I'm afraid of what it's going to find out, but what I'm afraid it's going to find out, which is that we have one of the safest communities in the country. We're the 8th safest suburb. The illusion that the police department is not audited, we are audited town-wide, and each department is audited as well to make sure the numbers match up. There was no impropriety. The budget that comes from the police department gets vetted through the town manager. It isn't that they're exempt. The reporting structure is that the chief of police doesn't report to the town manager, but that doesn't mean that the budget doesn't go through. So why would I want to be, because I am a business owner and I'm concerned about frivolous waste of money, and so why would I want to create a police study when we're already number 1 or 2 safest town in the nation, and again, the 8th safest country in the suburb, and a lot of the things that the police department does, nationally they're being used as a template. No, and I'll tell you why. How many times have we seen, whether it's nationally, statewide, or locally, people with good intentions say, okay, we're going to create some kind of sales tax or some kind of revenue mechanism, and we're going to sunset it. The day that that sunset comes, what happens? 2 things happen. People have to go back on their word, or they sunset it, and then they have to figure out where to get money. My idea with the half-cent sales tax is that we're talking about $5 on a $1,000 purchase, not including groceries, gas, or medicine, in which 30% comes from a non-resident. I would rather leave that intact and then eventually take the utility tax and take it from 4% to 3% to 2% to 1% to 0%, because 100% of that revenue comes from an Oro Valley resident. So I, myself, as a resident, want some more help and have somebody else pay for my quality of life versus me having to foot that bill 100%.
Okay, the half-cent sales tax that was recently implemented was justified for the subsidy to the golf course and capital to the golf course. Based on the projections of a 5-year losing venture and then breaking even and turning black, it should have been sunset in 5 years. You make the plan, you live with the plan. The problem is, this half-cent isn't even covering the expenses today, let alone the capital that has to go into it to approve it to theoretically grow golf. So we need to look at making some serious decisions quickly. Oro Valley will be looking at a very different financial situation in about 2 years if we don't start putting in place a fix to this drawdown of our funds. Thank you. Community Center at Naranja does the plans to do it. We don't have the money to do it, number 1. The current plans in Naranja tend to be, from my standpoint, a plan of the month, a plan of the quarter, a plan of the year. As far as Naranja, we need a good, detailed plan that's spread out over years that we can then march to for making decisions on capital, on planning, timing, etc. So I would start out with doing that.
Short answer is no. Nobody said it was intended to replace really what was going to be on the Naranja Park site. No different than the Aquatic Center. Now that we have a pool at the Aquatic Center, we don't need a pool at the Naranja Park site. Now that we have tennis courts, we had 4 tennis courts or a group of tennis courts that were plugged in on the original master plan. We don't need those anymore. So what does the community center do? It gives parents of the town of Oro Valley, for the first time in the 25 years that I've lived here, a place to take their kids to summer camps. We have 1,500 kids that filtered through a summer camp right here in the town of Oro Valley with the purchase or the acquisition of that community center or the building. And so now they don't have to drive outside, and we even had a waiting list. So it's silly to think that this is going to replace the Naranja Park site, but the truth is that now we can actually get other things in there, like a skate park and other kind of things that the community wants, without having to worry about putting these kind of things in there. And it's the out-of-the-box creativity, which is what myself provides, along with my incumbent council. I think any economic development that's going to reduce the tax burden on us. So we're now embarking on sports tourism. So we have many national, international competitions at the Aquatic Center. I'm a product of tennis. That's why I find it laughable that people hang the golf course around my neck. I grew up playing for Michigan. I grew up playing the semi-pro tour on the tennis. So if you wanted to tell me that I bought the country club because of the 31 tennis courts, I can live with that, but not so much the golf. But then, you know, we have so many USDA tennis tournaments. We just signed a deal with the Arizona Junior Interscholastic Golf Association for the next 2 years to bring in those golf athletes to the community. So again, it's a matter of, if you don't want a property tax, which we heard loud and clear in 2010 and 2014, you need a mayor and council that's going to be visionary and create less economic burden on you and getting more people to pay for our quality of life, and that's sports tourism.
Well, the first thing I would do is not compete with economic operations that are private in nature and already functioning in our town. I would sunset the tax increases. I would then go on to talking about our community, sell our strengths, sell the live, work, play in a nice, well-kept community. We should focus our attentions, obviously, on the ones that will bring businesses in that are on a higher-end retail and ones that will provide jobs to our residents. But we need to get straight with the business community and not be in competition with them as a starter. Thank you. Well, the Elk Conquistador is getting a lot of play. What I would say, first off, it already is. The Elcon was purchased, and it was purchased backwards from my standpoint. The dealings were somewhat less than fully transparent. The decisions were made, and then we went out and told the people why it was a good deal for them. What I would do everything in my power as mayor to stop the capital investment, stop the enhancements. I would maintain the golf courses so that we can continue to get revenue while we put together what is the actual cost of running that golf operation, determine what our options are, get input on a community-wide basis, and then pull the proposals together for a vote.
Continue as is, to be honest with you. Now, if it becomes an unacceptable financial drain, the beauty of it is that you had a mayor and 3 council members that had the courage to vote to acquire it, so we can have this very discussion right now. See, you don't get to make up your own facts. And this transparency issue, it isn't a question of people or us not being transparent, because there's not one thing anybody on the stage that can point to say you weren't transparent. Now, there's a lot of anger out there because there's a lot of misinformation that's being spread around. Sun City in particular thinks that because now we own the golf course, it's going to put them out of business. It's amazing how individuals can stand up here and say, because we have a restaurant, it's going to put every other restaurant out of business. Wow, that's a pretty darn good, powerful restaurant. But the point is, you can't make a decision in the first 2 months and then forecast that, because that's not reality. It's like having a Christmas ornament store and you take an inventory in June and July and say we're not selling enough Christmas ornaments. We have a plan in place, and we need to let that plan allow to come to fruition.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share my thoughts about Oro Valley today and the next steps for Oro Valley. You heard a lot about the good things coming to you as a result of this mayor and council. But I want to encourage you to consider carefully the cost and personal impact and the impact on our community of these decisions. Don't do it based on a forecast based on a flawed business plan. Do it by the actual results. That business plan, by the way, forecasted low numbers of golfers in these months we keep talking about as being exceptional. Oro Valley is on an unsustainable course right now. It can be fixed, but it's on an unsustainable course. We must, as citizens, make some critical decisions in this election. Are we going to do more of the same? Our tax increases? Buying things that we can't afford? The current cash flow will not cover the losses and the capital we want for other activity, whether it be Naranja or other activity. Do your homework, make an informed voice. I can confidently state there is not another mayor candidate on this stage right now that has the combined large business, community knowledge, and proven leadership skill set to take this on and Oro Valley needs this skill set. I can and will put Oro Valley back on a sustainable financial basis. What do you want as a skill set in your leader for Oro Valley? It's your decision. Thank you, and remember, I am ready, willing, and able to be your full-time mayor. Thank you.
And I'm going to echo what Pat says. You need to be very educated, and you need to understand your decisions are going to impact you. And, you know, Pat, all these guys, they have no vision. If you hear what they're saying, they're attacking really what we've done or what we're doing. Pat stands next to me and says that you shouldn't fall into the hypotheticals. Well, I am the guy who got us and led us out of that $2.6 million deficit. I am the one who saved you through our relationships with the other three council members sitting up here, $600,000 annually. So multiply 600,000 times 5 years, that's $3 million. I am the one who created a relationship with the RTA to save you guys $200,000 a year. I am the one with the County Run, so 200,000 multiplied by 4 or 5 years. So I am the one who actually reduced town staff by 47 individuals. So you're talking about efficiencies. You're talking about thinking outside of the box. You're talking about not having a property tax. So here's what we've created. We have balanced budget with the surplus. We've invested another $8 million in the worst economic recession in the history of the United States, and we still have a 30% reserve. Now, is that the kind of leadership that you want? We bought in the Children's Museum, a different arts and culture, Tohono Chua Park. We've allocated for 6 senior living centers. We've provided something from birth to 100 years old. And so, is that not the kind of leadership that you want? This transparency issue is just that. It's manufactured. It is not, there is no transparency issue. The issue is being generated and manufactured by a few individuals that want you to think that there's an issue. And so I challenge you, since 2010 to now, ask yourself, is this the kind of community that you want to live in? If so, vote for Hiremath, Cornett, Snyder, and Waters.